I still remember the exact moment I sent the invitation. My fingers hovered over the screen before I finally typed. My award ceremony is tomorrow at 7 p.m. I really want you all there. It was the biggest night of my life. Years of sleepless nights, rejected proposals, and people doubting me had led to this moment. I was nominated for Young Entrepreneur of the Year. I waited. 3 minutes later, my sister replied, "We don't have time for your stupid award. We're going to dinner." My chest tightened. Before I could process it, Mom added, "Don't blame us. The reservation was made weeks ago. Dad didn't even type a word. He just liked Mom's message." That hurt more than anything. I stared at the screen, reading their words again and again. Stupid award. I had imagined them sitting in the front row, smiling proudly. Instead, they had chosen a restaurant over me. I typed back, "That's fine, but it wasn't fine." The next evening, I watched them get ready. My sister wore her new black dress. Mom carefully applied her lipstick. Dad grabbed the car keys and said, "I'll lock up before you leave." No one asked if I was nervous. No one wished me luck. When the door closed behind them, the silence in the house felt heavy. I stood there for a moment, fighting tears. Then I wiped my face, picked up my blazer, and booked a ride. If they wouldn't show up for me, I would still show up for myself. The auditorium was dazzling. Cameras flashed. Families hugged each other while taking photos in front of the backdrop. I stood alone near the entrance, pretending to scroll on my phone so I wouldn't look as lonely as I felt. Everyone seemed to have someone. I had myself. I took my assigned seat in the front row, my heart racing. The host stepped onto the stage and welcomed everyone to the annual awards night. The energy in the room was electric. Category after category was announced. Winners walked up with their parents, thanking their families for believing in them. Each speech felt like a quiet reminder of what I didn't have in that moment. Then came my category. Young Entrepreneur of the Year. My name appeared on the giant screen along with the other nominees. My palms started sweating. The host opened the envelope slowly. "And the winner is..." The room fell silent. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. Emma Carter. For a second I didn't move. Applause exploded around me. The camera zoomed in on my stunned face. I stood up, legs shaking slightly, and walked toward the stage. The lights were blinding, but I forced myself to breathe. I accepted the trophy and stepped to the microphone. I didn't thank my family. Instead, I said, "This award is for anyone who has ever been told their dream was pointless." The audience grew quiet. Sometimes the only person who believes in you is yourself. And sometimes that's enough. The applause was louder this time. What I didn't know was that at that exact moment, miles away, my family was sitting at a dinner table with a TV mounted on the wall, and the live broadcast had just begun. My sister was laughing at something on her phone when my face suddenly appeared on the restaurant television. "Wait, isn't that Emma?" Someone at a nearby table said. My dad looked up casually, then froze. My mom slowly turned toward the screen. There I was, standing on stage, holding a trophy under bright lights. The caption at the bottom read, "Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Liv." My sister's smile faded instantly. "Turn up the volume," my dad said quietly. The restaurant noise faded into the background as my speech filled the room. "This award is dedicated to those who were told their work didn't matter," I said on screen. My sister's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. A woman at the next table leaned over and asked, "Is that your daughter?" "That's amazing!" My mom forced a small nod, but her eyes were wide with disbelief. The host began listing my achievements, how my startup had created jobs, how investors were backing my company, how my project would expand nationwide. The words national recognition and multi-million-dollar funding echoed through the restaurant. My sister whispered, "I didn't know it was that big." My dad didn't respond. He just stared at the screen. The same award they had called stupid was now being celebrated across the country. The same ceremony they skipped for dinner was being watched by millions. And as the camera zoomed in on my confident smile, they realized something they hadn't understood before. This wasn't just an award. It was proof. Proof that I had made it without their support. After the ceremony, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Journalists wanted interviews. Old classmates sent congratulations. My social media exploded overnight. Then my mom called. I let it ring twice before answering. "We saw you on TV," she said softly. There was no excitement in her voice, only something that sounded like regret. "You were incredible." My dad took the phone. "We're proud of you." Those were the words I had waited years to hear. Yet they felt strangely hollow. My sister texted, "Congrats." Didn't realize it was such a big deal. I stared at her message for a long, moment before replying. It was always a big deal to me. The next morning, my face was on the front page of several news websites. Reporters stood outside our house. When I walked into the living room, my family was already watching my interview replay on TV. The energy in the room had shifted. They looked at me differently now, like I was someone important. My mom said quietly, "We should have been there." I smiled politely but didn't answer. Because support isn't about showing up after the world starts clapping. It's about standing beside someone before anyone else believes in them. And on the night that mattered most, I had stood alone. A few weeks later, I received an invitation to speak at an international business conference. This time, I didn't send a message in the family group chat. I didn't ask if they were coming. I simply booked my flight. As I packed my suitcase, my dad stood at my bedroom door. "When will you be back?" he asked. I zipped my bag and looked at him calmly. "Probably after I win the next one." My sister didn't joke this time. She didn't roll her eyes. She just watched silently. As I stepped outside, I paused for a second and looked back at the house. The same house where my dream had once been called stupid. That night at dinner, they thought they were choosing something more important than my ceremony. But what they really chose was to miss the moment I proved them wrong. And the truth is, sometimes people don't see your worth until the whole world does. But by then, you've already learned how to shine without them.